Alright, YouTube air gunners. Today I'm going to show you how to make some cheap target stands. Had a whole bunch of lumber just kind of sitting around my property here and decided that I'd make some actual target stands that would break down fairly easy and I'd be able to actually take to the range with me, but I could also use here at the house. So let's start with the base. Pretty much already assembled it, but fairly simple base. I cut these sides, whatever, it's like 22 inches. The inside 16 3/4. That's fairly important. You know, you want to make sure that you got enough of a thing here. It's like to make sure and cover your targets. So I believe my targets fit kind of right in the middle of those. The inside pieces are 3 3/4. Like this way, whenever you get these put in here, you have a slot here to put your end stands. You've got one in the middle if you're going to hang a metal target or gong, whatever you want to call it. The way I measured these out was basically whenever I first cut the two of these, it's like put one here, put one next to it, butt it up, like screw that one in, and then you can knock this one out and it leaves you a hole. The middle, I actually just kind of measured, screwed one in, kind of went halfway flat, cut a mark in there, screwed one side in, put my board in, and then actually screwed the other one. I've seen a couple other variations of this that put the board here, put the board there, and you could put a board lengthwise. I don't have a problem going, you know, pretty much skinny on these. And of course, this one's not 57 inches like the other one, so it's just a couple inches shorter. But I don't have a problem going skinny on these, and I have some hooks that we'll be installing at various levels so we can shoot at the metal target. All right, I pretty much cut out this piece of OSB, 5 foot high, 18 inches wide, so it's a little bit wider. And if you see down here, I've just kind of eyeballed it, whatever, so I can try to center it. I'm going to take it, I'm going to mark it, and that'll give me a reference of where I want to screw this thing into these boards. So we got our point there, point there. Whoop. Go back. All right, so we're halfway into the thing wants to cooperate. So we're halfway into the 2x4. I'm going to put my screw there, but we're also going to mark the OSB there. Same thing over here. And we're going to flip it. Okay, we flipped it over, and what I want to do is I'm going to mark the OSB on this end and this end. Let me take this down. Put it right here. I've got a level. And I'm going to line up these marks that I made. Kind of square it up a little bit. So that's going to be my line for screws. I'm going to probably tack in one, maybe 5 screws based off of the size of the wood. All right. All right, as you can see, I put a couple pilot holes. So one on this end, one on that end, and that way, like I said, this thing does not have to be perfect. It just has to be able to like fit into the stand here once the board is in the middle of it. You know, there's some other recommendations that you can take targets and you can actually just staple end to end like that and have them open. I actually don't have a problem having wood on the back of it like that. I know that, you know, it's going to get eaten up in a period of time. That's why I can actually make quite a few of these out of an 8x5. So let's get this thing screwed in. All right, so I've got the bottom positioned. I've got them right now just hand screwed in there to where it's holding the board just barely on there. So I'm going to screw that in a little bit more to where it's secure. But if you'll notice up here, once I get the bottom down here attached, I'm going to actually have to adjust the top to make sure that it's semi running straight, and this thing's going to go in and out whenever I want to take it out. So let's screw these guys in. All right, so after I got the bottom down here pretty much fastened to where this thing wasn't going to fall off, it's easy to line up the board up top where literally the hole was right about in the middle, and then screw it in just slightly. This is going to now allow me to take this off, and I'll finish this flat so I've got a little bit more pressure to drive these screws in. All right, I know earlier it said I marked out 5 spots on this for 5 screws each side. That's pretty much probably an overkill. Thing is, this thing's going to get chewed up anyway, and this will be quick to release this. Put this on, pretty stable. So let's connect it. All right, this is finished product right here. Yeah, these VisiShot targets, dirt cheap. I believe the prices on these, 10 pack for $12.99. Perfect for sighting in a scope. Accuracy test. You got 5 different bulls on there to where it's like you can just keep hitting, and then you can challenge yourself the bottom down there where the writing's at. There's a little tiny bullseye there. So I try to always see if I can take that one out. All right, so I'm going to get this over here to my shooting range, and time to dial in some of the air rifles I've got. The one thing that I didn't cover on this is cost. So naturally, I had a lot of scrap here, which, you know, I'd paid for other projects, but if I had to put this together, I imagine the base I could easily have cut out of one 2x4 8-foot long. I think $3.67. The 2 pieces over here, they're 57 inches each, so just slightly over, you know, that 4 foot, getting closer to probably about a 4.5 foot. You're definitely going to need 2 of the 8 foots, and then you're going to have some leftover lumber, which you could actually do the bottom also. I actually took, and I've got one over there. It's like that. That's another one that I said that I'm going to make for my gong. 3 of those, $3.67. You're roughly right about $20. OCB board. A 5x8 cost me $27. There's some other uses for this, but like I said, I've got several different backgrounds that I can make out of it, so this will last me quite a while. If I had to split it down to the piece that I have, you're probably $3-4 into that. Targets $13 for a 10 pack, so we're at $1.30 each on those targets. I don't usually include that in any of my costs because I mean I go through a lot of targets, a lot of ammo. So relatively, it's like this whole target stand fairly cheap to buy. So now if you do want to add in, I got an action target here, 8-inch AR 500 3/8" gong, pistol 10 yards, 22, 357, or 380, 9mm, 40 or 45. Rifle at 100 yards, a 223, 308, 338, 30-06, and etc. So for air guns, whatever, it's like I'm pretty sure that this thing will easily hold up to my 50 cal, my 357, my 45, and definitely my 25s. This, I don't see the price on it. I want to say this cost me is about $28. Probably the most expensive thing that I've got wrapped up into this, but they last forever. I bought some of the small. All right, so this is the configuration for the tree gong. I'm going to take my 3/8 inch gong like that. I've got a number 2 zinc hook to secure it with, and I'm going to mark off a couple spots on this tree so I can adjust this to varying degrees. So put the first one roughly 4 or 5 inches from the top. I want to put another one maybe a little bit lower down here, and then I'm going to sink one in here. That whenever I'm in the backyard, it's one thing to be shooting this stuff at the range at the top and in the middle, but if I'm in the backyard, I like to shoot rather low. As you can see, I've already peppered my fence a little bit, but this actually keeps everything. So on that side or whatever, it's like, so I've got to rebuild my whole shooting range over there. But so let's get these screwed in. All right, when I'm drilling the pilot holes, I always like to start out with one not quite as big as the screw that I'm putting in, but one, you know, I don't want to put a little tiny pinhole in there, but it gives me a place where I can actually start this. So we've got this here, and I'm going to show you a trick that I learned. I guess if I keep my finger off the light camera, I'm going to show you a trick that I learned whenever I was a kid from my father. All right, hopefully you can see this. So, you know, I always argued that the hole in the bottom of a wrench was so you could hang them up when you're done with them. My dad showed me that actually you can use one of these as leverage, especially when doing eye bolts. So it'd be nice probably if I put my gloves back on so I don't tear my hands up. But so it's kind of amazing how much leverage you can get on this thing. And I think that's where we're gonna pretty much just end this. Maybe another turn. Get it all the way around and line it up, and then there we go. All right, set this in here. Knock it back in, and then let's hang the gong. So there we have it. Two more, like I said, just various places, but you know, this way too, whenever you hit this, it's not going to knock out. This is not going anywhere. That it's kind of, it's not, it'll wobble a little bit, but that's fine. All right, guys, thanks.